Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options to Play video update. So, still kind of smarting after missing out on this GLD move, which is frustrating because we spent a pretty good amount of time talking about it, kind of breaking down the setup the last time we got together, and even recognizing that it was kind of getting into that area. I mean, it just the way it played out just made it very difficult to get involved with. And you know, it's taken off running. Um, Still hawking it. Still want to be involved in this, but at this point, probably would have to wait for some sort of pullback or pause, right? Some sort of move to allow the overbought conditions to mitigate a little bit. Maybe for this 8 EMA to catch up. So definitely keeping an eye on that. And after having missed that, then I'm kind of like you're looking around. You're like, okay, like, what could possibly play catch up with gold, right? And everybody, like the first thing they look at is silver, right? And this is actually something we've traded not like frequently, but a couple of times in the last year or so, and it's just really been lagging. It hasn't had nearly as much interest, right? I mean, just since the bottom of May, yes, it's had a nice move higher, but I mean, compared to gold, it's not even at its 2019 high, right? So gold, well past the February top, right? Almost 7 to 8% through the high from February, whereas silver is still down about 7 to 8% from the high in February. So it's got a lot of work to do just to get back to the February high, right? But that doesn't mean that it's not worth keeping an eye on. It's like, yes, gold looks fantastic. It's got a lot of momentum. It's got a lot of volume. It's got a lot of eyeballs, right? But silver actually could start to develop pretty quick. And even though it's not at the February high, it doesn't necessarily need to get there to for the trade to start working, right? I mean, once it gets through the February high, that would be a great sign, but it doesn't necessarily need to get there. So let me show you what I mean. So, for those of you that maybe haven't followed this closely, silver has just been in this really steady channel trend lower, right? Um, not not exactly like gold, but there have been some similarities, right? I mean, kind of just like this steady like lower highs, consistent basically since 2013, right? So when I go to gold, you can see definitely some similarities, not exactly the same. Let's draw this. So you can see that maybe not as steep for gold, right? And then obviously over the last couple of weeks, just this epic breakout, right? Now going back to silver, just this really steady trend of lower highs, consistent lower highs over multiple years, right? And what's interesting is that it's actually formed what you would consider be like a yearly pennant, right? So against the bottom down here, right? So it's basically nearing a resolution point, right? I mean, it's getting increasingly narrow, and like the highs are getting increasingly lower, and the long-term support is still holding pretty steady, right? And with so much enthusiasm for gold, it's kind of helped silver get some attention, right? And it's starting to improve. And so this is what I was saying is that like it doesn't necessarily need to get through the February high to trigger the move, but that would be probably be when the momentum kicks in, right? So to break the trend, you would say that a push probably to like the 1480, 1490 area probably starts to get comfortably above the top of this downtrend. And then if it were to get through the high from February, which is about 15 and a quarter to 1530, then you would assume that it would start to accelerate almost like gold, right? Because that would be a higher high from February, and then that would put it even further above the top of this multiple year downtrend, right? So even though it's lagging and it may not be getting as much interest, it doesn't mean that the setup is not worth keeping an eye on. All right, I mean it's not quite there yet. It's in the burner, on the back burner. It's kind of just it's kind of developing, and it's something that you should probably keep an eye on. You can put alerts. What I like to do a lot, I put an alert, maybe like 1475 to 1480 if it starts to get up into that area. Maybe it's something that you start to entertain putting on like a 2 month out swing, right? So maybe some calls, maybe 2 months, 3 months, depending on the pricing at the time, like your risk preference, right? So that's how I kind of like these commodity swings, usually like 2 to 3 months, a little bit longer time versus like individual stocks because they don't tend to move as fast or as dramatically as like an individual name. So like 2 to month swing, but like 1475, 1480, and then I would really start to expect it to pick up momentum once it crossed through the February, January high, 1525, 1530, and then maybe it could play some catch up, similar to gold. All right. So don't sleep on this. Yes, it's not as good as gold, and the volume isn't as great either, but there's potential. So definitely keep an eye on it. All right. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Silver, gold. Again, still watching GLD for an entrance opportunity. It's just trying to be a little bit more patient because I missed like the first area I wanted to get involved, so kind of have to wait. But I'm definitely keeping an eye on that. So if you missed out, so did I. But I think there'll be another opportunity because I'm expecting the GLD move to hopefully get into like the 140s, mid 140s. So I still think there's room on top of this. All right. So hope you guys have a fantastic night, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.